Music moves you. It changes you. That's the power of music. If we want to change the world, all we really need to do is change the music.
Every once a while, there comes along a visionary who dedicates himself to transforming an entire industry. This is Ashutosh Phatak, a man who created over 4,000 ad jingles in a span of 10 years. He then co-founded Blue Frog, one of India's most iconic live music venues. The Frog created such a deep impact on the music scene that its absence is felt even today. It was more than a venue. It was a movement. And he was there for its final swan song. Restless and determined to drive change, Ashu co-founded the true school of music that has made music a legitimate career choice and created a certified standard, India's first. This is a man who started an unseen revolution and is shaping the future of music in India.
Well, we're working on a track, which is a collaboration between me and my students. So we've got bass, drums, guitars, sax being performed today. I just put you come and play, you come play, you come play, you come play. So don't do it on that part, no?
Okay, not only on the second part.
Keep that the same. When I was very young, my parents tried to get me to learn some musical instruments. I started piano lessons, and I hated it. I absolutely hated it. One day, when instead of practicing what I was supposed to practice, I started fooling around and started just playing some notes and started doing something. And that whole process of constructing something out of nothing, I got fascinated by that. Like, wow, this is really cool. And actually the reason I ended up becoming a musician is primarily because of the composition aspect of actually creating something out of nothing.
Yeah, life without music is, so drab and dull. Actually, our day starts with music. There's always music in background.
Because of my father being sort of more into the Western music, we started with the Frank Sinatras and Perry Como and Frankie Valli and Dean Martin, all of these guys. So these are the kind of music that we grew up with. I think it was primarily a hobby at the beginning. It was never really conceived of as a business or as a vocation. The focus was always, become something, either an engineer or a businessman.
So I said, you should go to London School of Economics, do your master's there. And he said, no. So that was the first jolt for him. I said, what do you mean, no?
There was some realization that this is not what is going to work for him. If you don't have fun with what you do, then you're not really going to be able to make it through.
He said, I'm taking music as my career. I said, are you mad? You're just going to be a band guy or something? Music we all love, we'll keep singing as a hobby. He said, no.
It was UPenn, which has a Wharton Business School in it. I went there to do economics. But because I got that kida, that bug was always there, I ended up studying music too. I had no clue that it was going to lay a major foundation for the rest of my life. And the only thing I could study there at that point in time was Western classical theory. That took it to another bloody level. Learning Mozart and Bach and learning how they composed. It took my little baby seed ideas and gave it some structure and how I could even think about it. And it doesn't mean that I had to compose classical music. It just gave me a framework
We had to get a recording studio for him. We had garage, was the only additional space available. So we put a loft, and we had a very small ladder, extremely small ladder to go up there. He said, "No, you give me in 6 months."
And then when I did my first job, first jingle, it was just, I did a 10-second commercial and I got paid 10 grand. I was like, wow, $1,000 a second, this is pretty cool.
So I said, if he makes a hobby as his career, then he's never working. He's having a good time all the time.
Let's go. You want to do like Wonderful World? You can. Green, red roses too. I see them blue. Oh, my sweetness means you'll meet me in the hallway. Oh, twice on the pipe means you ain't gonna show. This song ain't happening. This song ain't happening.
All right, get ready.
I love you, baby, and if it's quite alright, I need you, baby, to walk the lonely nights. I love you, baby. Trust in me when I say. It's really important to find people in your life that you can partner with and connect with, that complement yourself, and then don't try and be everything yourself, because there are a lot of other people who have those skill sets. And I think Dhruv and me were that relationship.
Ashu is really a very easy person to work with, and he's extremely charismatic, and he's audacious. We literally grew up together. We started doing music when we were very young, early 20s.
We set up Smoke, a music production company.
Scored like a ridiculous amount of music, 1,000, 2,000 commercials in 4 or 5 years. It scored like two movies within 2 years. And the second one that we did was Bombay Boys, which kind of, you could say it put us on the map.
The most fun part of that film was actually working on the Mumbai song with Javed. He came on board with this fun idea. That's the Kai Barahai, I am Mumbai. They said, now let's make a song out of this. And let's do hip hop, let's do rap, let's do all that stuff.
Anika, Janika, Natnika, Kanika, Nanika, Konika, Hasnika, Ronika, Bom, Nimalika, Pai, Sepusnika, Kasaka, Barahai, I am Mumbai.
Then we just got, we were just bombarded with, work. We just, took risks and did whatever we wanted to do. And the more audacious and crazy the ideas were, we just kind of went for it, I guess.
As we got deeper into our space, we recognized there were some inherent issues which every composer was facing. Stuff with royalties and copyrights. This was basically a very disorganized sector where there was no centralized concepts of working, So that's when I really started thinking about how can we put structure behind this whole thing. I was not interested in anymore doing anything for myself, but the next step has to be some sort of a collective. Is there some way that we can, do something that will make a difference? Play these notes. Yeah. We'll do the harmony of this. Yeah, good. This idea was to get 80% of our composers together to start working with systems. And so we'll have a common production thing, we'll have common accounts, big facility with bunch of studios and a central office. We'll make sure we are focusing on what we are good at, making music.
And the original genesis of Blue Frog was actually expanding on that idea. And of course, as the idea, evolved and developed, we felt that maybe this thing could be bigger than what we had imagined.
We started getting people together and we started talking to people. So I went and found a space. I went and pitched it to some investors. Went and got some seed finance. And then when it came down to signing, actually no one signed. So I was totally all dumbstruck. I was like, what? I thought we were going to do this, but no. I don't think people were ready. There is a sense of insecurity that happens in the creative field. So do we do something together that's going to help everyone, or do we keep it, or do we help ourselves? So that didn't work out. So, and out of that came something else. So Dhruv, me, Mahesh and Srila got together one night and I was pretty much like destroyed. I was talking to Mahesh about, dude, what do we do? I've got this space. And actually that's when he came up with the thing, like, how big is this space? It's about 6,000 square feet. So what about starting a club?
Mahesh walked in there and said, this would make a great bar. That was the...
It did make a great bar.
Yeah, I mean, that was where it started from.
Wake up slow day, everybody got to make their way.
Blue Frog became what it was, which was much bigger than what we wanted.
Now wouldn't it be nice if each day was filled with a little more spice? Everybody woke up and together we did the Charleston Boogie.
Then it just catapulted into this beautiful new idea, which is going to be a 360-degree company, which is going to have a record label, which is going to have recording studios, which is going to have a live club, programming, everything,
When we started programming, we realized that, okay, there are lots of Indian musicians, but just because you're sitting in Bombay, it doesn't mean you cannot have international musicians. So for us, the sky was the limit. We just said, what are the names we think of was iconic and was available? We brought them out here, and that made a huge, huge, huge change,
This then sounded, in fact, a much better and a bigger idea in one sense, because this was also a B2C situation.
We changed certainly the way music was considered or viewed per se, because it suddenly became a viable means of livelihood.
It was part of a movement for Indian musicians, of all kinds, to come out and make the music industry more aspirational for youngsters to say, tell their parents, I want to be a musician. Sad as it might be, by the end our back was breaking. We realized that we were competing as a food and beverage outlet, and that wasn't our idea. If you're not doing what you set out to do and you're going to compromise your stage, and it's no point doing that, then get out of it.
It was horrible. It was an emotional time for all of us, because it was more than a business for us. It was a home. Today I can turn back and say, it's okay. That time I was like weeping, but today I can say it's okay. I think we achieved the whole concept of us being a catalyst for this music industry, for this scene. And it was not just us, by the way. It was the community that made that happen. So it was not about us doing it. It was about everyone doing it. I really like some parts of this. Maybe we should just keep this and try doing another one. I think that was nice.
Ashu is predominantly a very strong ideas guy, and he sees things in a much bigger picture than, say, you and I would. There's a certain sense of largeness and scale that he likes to take things to. In 2012, I partnered with Ashu to start the school.
I guess this idea of the school was floating around my head for a very long time. I'm talking about from Blue Frog days. I'd never been in education, the field at all. I had no clue how to do anything as far as schooling or teaching or anything was concerned. So we said, okay, let's go find out. Kind of went to different schools all over the world. And I just started seeing, oh, I like this from there, I like this from there, I like this about this, I like this about this. And then we kind of put together our ideal school. Personally, that kind of saved me a bit, because I had this new baby that was growing, and that was really, really growing fast. Now that I got into this whole education thing, then I realized how badly our system was stuck. This whole Victorian thing that's been going on for a long time, trying to create clones, And that's what we wanted to avoid in our school. You are you as an individual. So what you choose to learn by yourself is what is going to define you and is going to make you a success. That became a significant part of our school.
With Ashu, if something is not good, he would be really frank and in a very good way he'd say that. Let's just sit and watch every 5 seconds of music that you've done and see what can be changed. Nobody does that. Nobody takes that much effort to do things. But yeah, that happens here.
You can be well versed with your skills but not be able to deliver if you don't understand how people think. That was an essential skill to learn from the 4 years that I've been here. Not just the art and self-fulfillment side of things, but also the things which would be required in the industry and the pragmatic side of things.
A space where you can borrow not only from systems of pedagogic systems that have been used in India, but also elsewhere. When that comes together, it's quite fantastic.
Or a space where people can hang out, be together, come together as a community, or have a sense of belonging, of shared ideas.
I do believe it's very important to go to school because there's certain things like motor skills, there's essentials, and the thing is that having somebody in front of you teaching you is a beautiful thing.
What is interesting right now, TSM just got validated by the Media and Entertainment Skills Council for exactly what we were trying to start 10 years ago. And that is now coming from the government.
So what we did in the last 1 year was working with the Skill Development Corporation and the industry. So we kind of helped define national standards for music. And I think that was a big achievement because this is the first time music has received national occupational standards in India. And this is something that I think Ashu always wanted to do. So if we look back at what he tried to do before the Blue Frog days, he was basically trying to get the composers together and figure out who does what. How do you define a composer who actually does a certain kind of work or a certain kind of pay scale?
When we first started through school, we had to shout at the top of our lungs, career is possible in music. We don't have to do that anymore. The country has recognized that there's a career in our industry. That's just like a great piece of music that's being appreciated. Yeah, I think overall sounding really nice. Let's see what happens.
Feel the pull of moonshine, In the sunken night sky, I can feel the heat of sunshine. That's my song, that's my heart. That's the way it always starts. I can see, I can hear, I can feel all along. And I can see, and I can hear, I can feel it all along.
I guess as our influence grows, as our reach grows, it grows to places that you never expected. This fisherman came in, a dhoti wearing fisherman from Sibri saying, my son wants to join your EDM course. I'm like, man, that is kick-ass. So that gave you hope for what's happening in this country. That's what's I'm proud of. And I'm hoping to do much more. The tentacles have to reach far. Waiting to hear more stories like that.